spanking started. The spanking exacerbated the abnormal behavior. And where the abnormal behavior occurred may not have been at home. So if your kid touches a fucking electrical socket, right, and you spank your kid, that doesn't mean if you're not around, that kid isn't going to touch the electrical socket. The kid's going to look around. If my parents not here, I could still touch this thing and explore this thing. They're just associating the spanking with you as the person putting the punishment on you. But this is where science shows when you leave a kid alone, and this is what Bandura found, when you leave a kid alone, when you show aggression to a kid and you stick around, that kid might not act out aggression because you know that kid might know that you might not approve of it, and there might be physical punishment from the adult. But when the adult leaves the room, the kid acts out. And the acting out is exacerbated by either observing the adult expressing violence or aggression, or having the aggression put on them. My sister dealt with this in schools. My sister's been an elementary school teacher for over 20 years. I mean, the studies support this, but also it's like, I've had conversations with both my sister and my father. I trust more the research necessarily than the anecdotal evidence, but even though my father's an expert in clinical psychology, especially child development theory, it's like parents refuse to accept sometimes that their actions are having a detrimental effect on their child, because parents don't want to be told how to deal with their children, right? But that's why we have research, right? And it's bad parenting not to take the research into consideration. Now, do I say that you should just sit around and read research papers all day long on child development on how to raise your kid? No, there are certain things that you do as a parent that come natural, right? Sure, that are, but on spanking, this is something that 50 years of research, time and time again, and more advanced research now that we can look at the brain activities of these people that are spanked, that to deny this is just asinine. And it's just like, it's almost like, this is what Neil Levy talks about. They talk about individual deliberation versus collective deliberation. People think their individual deliberation, that they can individually deliberate and decipher using all their experiences, even if they do look at the research, that they think that they have the expertise to analyze the research. They don't. There's a certain level of deference that you have to have. We can't be experts at everything, including understanding the effects of our own behavior on our children. And part of being a good parent is understanding how your behavior can affect your children, either negatively or positively. And to sit around and just say, well, I know best, no fucking researcher's going to tell me what to do with my child, that's just ignorant. And that's being a responsible parent. That doesn't mean that you should sit around all day long reading articles of child development theory and research and all that shit. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is when it comes to things like spanking and discipline, I think it is responsible to understand the alternative ways that you can discipline a child. And if your child is acting out, no parent wants to say that their discipline is causing their child to act out, outside of the presence of themselves.
Here's the thing. Yo, Freud, it's good to see you, by the way. Good to see you, Ron. If you spank your kids, okay, that's corporal punishment or whatever, you know that that's not a good reason to behave. It's just because of the fear of physical punishment. Because if you're trying to teach your kids a lesson, like they say, then you should be giving them reasons. Because reasons scale and reasons can be evaluated. But if you just spank them, then when nobody's spanking them anymore, right? When they're adults, are they gonna stop from doing the wrong thing? You know what I mean? This is not a good reason. It's using bad reasons where good reasons are available. Anyway, tell me what you think. It's good to see you, buddy.
Thanks. I agree. I think it's you're not teaching a kid reasons, but that's the example I'm telling you. People think that spanking stops the behavior. In some cases, it doesn't. In many cases, in some cases it stops behavior while you're around, but it doesn't stop behavior when you're not around. This is why parents, over many years of my father's experience as a clinical psychologist, didn't understand how they were disciplining their kid at home by spanking them, but then they would still act out in school. I don't know how many times I've had talks with my father about his experiences as a clinical psychologist, 50 years of experience, where he would have parents come in and not understand why their child was acting out. He would do assessments of the child and all that other stuff. There were many cases in which the child actually developed a disorder because of the spanking. You know, borderline personality disorder can be exacerbated by your environment, right? Defiance disorders, all these types of disorders can be exacerbated by the way your parents treat you.
I agree with you. I never liked spanking either. I rather